Your name is?
Janie.
Janie, good to meet you.
This is?
And Ron, good to meet you, Ron. We're out here at La Mesa, California, on Mount Helix, at the foot of a cross here. And we're out asking the big question to people today. What do you guys think is going to happen to you after you die? Your eyes go closed, and what happens next? Something or nothing?
Well, I think something happens.
Okay. So how does that something work for you?
I think that my body is going to be very dead.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to interact with anybody anymore, but I do believe that my spirit's still going to be alive.
Okay. So does that come from a religious belief, or does that come from just a kind of a spiritual belief? I've heard a lot of different beliefs out there. Where does that come from?
It's a religious belief for me, but it is also spiritual at the same time. It's more than just something that somebody taught me, because I had that. It was an experience,
Mm-hmm.
of getting to know a God in a very personal way. It was kind of like coming alive,
Mm-hmm.
all at once, and knowing something that I didn't know before, something more than what religion, taught me.
Mm-hmm.
So very much so, it was an experience.
Did you have a significant event occur in your life where something just kind of flipped the switch and you thought, you know what, I've heard about this before, but now it's real for me? Well, do you recall any event in your life that happened that kind of made you really kind of change your thoughts?
For me, I think the way I was raised as a child made me want to choose a different kind of lifestyle than what my parents were teaching me.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked to see that the people who went to church seemed to have better lives. Their children had better lives, and I wanted something different. So I wanted to seek that.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process of doing that, I eventually actually found a personal relationship
Mm-hmm.
with God. And that made all the difference, like I said.
Mm-hmm. So what church did you guys attend? What kind of church was it?
Well, for me, and I can't speak for Ron,
Okay.
In the very beginning, I went to a Free Will Baptist church when I was a child. And then I went to a Pentecostal church when I was in my late teens. And it was during that time that I had an experience that was very enlightening to me, and it just made God alive in my life, inside of me. He was more than just something on the pages of a book or something that somebody talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And that made all the difference. And then, since then I've gone to different kinds of churches, and it doesn't really matter, because I take that experience and that person with me wherever I go. So
Mm-hmm.
it really doesn't have to be housed in any particular type of church.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
at all. It could not even be a church. It just goes with me wherever I am.
Okay. So you go to a non-denominational church of sorts
at this
now?
point, yeah, I
What?
do.
So you attend one in the area, or?
Yes.
Okay. Which one do you attend? Do you
We're
ask?
going to Journey
Journey. Okay.
in La Mesa.
Okay. Yeah. We had friends that went there. Yeah. It's actually I do this with some friends that actually attend Shadow Mountain Church here in El Cajon.
It's a good one.
And we attend the Rock Church out in Point Loma.
Yep, very good.
Yeah. So,
Similar.
yeah. So you believe in Jesus Christ then, right? You believe that the only way you're going to get to heaven is a belief and trust in Him.
That's right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And do you believe that that all of us are sinners?
Yes, we are. But it's so funny because this morning, our church is reading all of the New Testament within 8 weeks. And it was really funny because this morning we were reading, it was the 1 Timothy, I think it was, and we were taking note where Paul was telling Timothy, that the women should be subservient to their husbands, basically, that the husbands are head of the house. And he made the comment that it was the woman who was deceived, not the man. And therefore the woman is the sinner. And so therefore, just leaving it like that, you can extrapolate from that the woman is the sinner and the man is not.
Boy.
And that the
Oh,
woman
boy.
was deceived, but the man was not. And it's like, okay.
I don't think so.
I know. However, the man chose to listen to the woman rather than to listen to God. So what's worse? You know,
Yeah,
really.
yeah. It's,
And so the men are really sinners too.
sure we are.
Even if Paul didn't specifically say it right in that particular verse, we know the verse that says all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God.
Oh,
So
sure.
that includes men.
Okay. So you don't think that we need to be a good person in order to go to heaven?
No,
Okay.
it's not the criteria.
Okay.
Because none of us are good.
Yeah.
Only God is good, right?
Yeah. Only God. He's the only perfect one.
That's right.
We're not. We fall way short of that. Have you ever heard of the actor Kirk Cameron?
No, you?
Kirk Cameron, he did the TV show for years, Growing Pains. And he was that kind of young guy, dark hair, curly type hair. He goes around with a guy named Ray Comfort, and they go around and they do evangelism, kind of like what we're doing right now, and kind of learned the technique from them, what we're doing here. Well, one of the things they train in that program is what's called the good person test. It's just to kind of get people to get in touch with just maybe how they're not so good.
Yes.
Let me give you that real quick, so maybe you can use it on some friend of yours or family member or something. Hey, you guys ever told a lie in your life?
I think I've lived it more than spoken it.
Okay. So what does the world call people that lie?
Normal.
What does the world call them generally? What is the word they
Liars.
say? There you go. Have you ever used the Lord's name in vain, said it in a curse word, ever in your life?
She may not have. I have.
I don't think so. I wouldn't be comfortable with that.
So,
No.
so that's blasphemy in the Bible, right?
Yeah, it would be using God's name in a frivolous way.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of people do use his name in a very common usage, to me is offensive because it's making God so common that he's just a byword.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's a good thing.
Have you ever hated someone or called them a fool?
I've been correcting him on that, and he's doing so much better when he drives in the car. He doesn't do it anymore because I keep telling him, you know, if you call somebody a fool, you're in danger of hellfire, is what it says in Matthew. And it's like, so he's gotten a lot better with that. But have I ever hated anybody? There has been a moment or two in times when I can feel like I had that kind of feeling inside of me, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So, and Jesus said in the Sermon on the Mount that if you hate someone, we'll call them a fool, that's murder in your heart.
Yep.
Right? Even though you didn't pull a trigger and shoot them physically or anything, it's still you're hating, and God sees your heart and knows if you could have, you would have. In
Not
some senses,
necessarily.
not a gun necessarily, but if you got to a point of rage where you hated them so much, who knows what you might have done, and depending on the situation.
It wasn't that kind of hate.
Okay. Well, we've
Not
talked.
hate to
There's different degrees of
destruction,
that, right?
You know, just where you just don't like a person so much because they frustrate you so much.
Yeah.
It's like you just don't want them in your life.
Yeah.
You know, not that you want to destroy them as a human being.
Sure.
But still, it's not a good feeling, and it's not the right way to
Yeah.
feel, and it's not something you want to have in you for very long.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing.
I think we talked about it before we started the interview. We're all God's creation. We've all come from different backgrounds, and that person that you may be hating may have come up and raised a certain way to make them who they are to this day. And God may be using you as an instrument, His instrument to help change them. And if you hate them and physically or you say that to them aloud, you're ruining your chances of possibly getting them to make a change for Christ, right? So we got to try to be examples, and that's not an easy thing to do. It's something that we fight with day in and day out because we get in situations where we're tested with that all the time. Like you said, your husband has been. I know I have been on the road or whatever. So it's kind of a test that we're going through there. So we believe as Christians that we're going to come before God on Judgment Day. And so based on the sins you just told me that you committed, where you told me you'd lied, you've hated, you used God's name in vain, you said, do you think that on that day, is God going to let you into heaven or hell and send you to hell based on the sins He said you just committed?
Well, my entrance into heaven isn't based on my sin. It's based on the fact that Jesus died for my sins. He already paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
They're forgiven and forgotten as far as God's concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore it won't come up.
Okay.
But I will be judged according to how I live while I am here, and the rewards that are handed out or whatever is going to be vastly different for different people depending on how you live your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll get into heaven. My judgment is going to be on the other aspect of the reward system.
Bema seat, yeah. It's just making sure that people really get a good grasp of that, because if you don't accept Jesus, you don't get your sins forgiven, where does the Bible say you're going to go?
Well, according to Jesus, I think it's called hell.
What is hell to you?
Well, in the old days, they used to teach hellfire and brimstone when we were growing up to scare people into, giving their life to God, right? That's in the old days. And now it's kind of watered down. You don't hear people talking about hell so very much anymore. And people are teaching more of it's just a separation from God. But boy, I'll tell you, being separated from God would not be good. If that's all hell was, that would be terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever hell is, Jesus actually,
I think, taught that it was a place of eternal damnation and fire in brimstone. They were basing that on the place where they would dump all their trash, and it would constantly be burning, and that was, in their local towns. And I think it's depicting something that is eternal torture.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that there is any way that we can describe in physical terms what hell is really like, any more than we can really relate to what heaven is going to be like. We have to use earthly things that we're aware of to try to compare, like, heaven with streets of gold, which it may not actually physically be streets of gold, but it's the best thing that we have that we're using to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a place you want to go.
Yeah, you don't want to go there. Yeah, it's
even if your friends go there.
Yeah, actually Jesus talked about hell, warned people about hell more than He talked about heaven. And if you look throughout the Bible, you'll see that. And it is a place where actually my father accepted Christ actually when he was dying. And at his funeral, I shared with the congregation all the verses in the Bible that talk about hell. And it is a place where we're going to feel pain for eternity. And I don't know if you ever put a match to your skin and actually felt that, but I can't imagine feeling anything even close to that for eternity. And that's, that scare bit, should we scare people? Should we tell them about what's contained in the Bible? It doesn't sound good. Trust me, it doesn't sound good, but God wouldn't have intended it to be there if He didn't want to warn people about it. There's a lot of things in the Bible when you read and you go, oh, wow, why did they put that in there? I don't even want to look at that. But that's so scary sounding, But we're not the creator of all this. He has His intentions of why He did it this way. We're not the one that wrote this world's history, that's for sure, and what needs to be done. But so that's what we kind of go around and do. Let me tell you about something that happened to me and my wife on November 6th of 2007. We lost an 18-year-old son in a car accident. We lost him suddenly. We didn't get to say goodbye. He died in a car accident here in San Diego. He died in the middle of the day. Wasn't raining on the day it happened. He was on his way to Mesa College here. And he was driving too fast to a class. He was on his way to a cross-country running class. He was a real good runner. He'd been running since the age of 8. He ran 40 miles a week on average. Just graduated from Steel Canyon High School. He was an AP Calculus student at Steel Canyon. He was going to be a mechanical engineer. Driving on the 94 West, and he lost his life right there in the backyard of that house with a white cross on it. It's over by College Grove Shopping Center here. Here's the skid marks right here. He hit there used to be a tree here. He hit the tree, split his car in half, ripped him out of the seatbelt, and he landed on his back in the backyard, perfectly positioned, looking up at the cross.
It just gives me goosebumps.
Parts of his car went completely around the cross and the roof. We actually have video coverage on our website of the owner of the house picking up pieces of his car around the cross. So I tell people that because he thought that was going to be just any normal day. He thought he was going to go be with his friends, go running. He put no drugs or alcohol in his system. They did an autopsy on his body. He was just driving too fast. And we've all driven fast at one time or another in our life. And that just happened to him. Let me start walking. That's his car there. November 7th, 18-year-old driver. So we just, it's important to make sure that you accept Christ before it's too late. Because if you don't, like we talked about before, if you don't get your sins forgiven, you're going to go to hell. And God knows whether you truly believe into it or not. You're not just giving it lip service. He knows whether you mean it or not. And
That's sad.
yeah, some things happened after the accident. One, his best friend was still going to Steel Canyon at the time. His best friend accepted Christ at his funeral. His best friend, his name is Adrian Sherrod. He was a distance runner also. He right after the funeral there, he ran the San Diego Cross Country Championships for all the high schools here in the area. He won the race. And in fact, his entire team ran with my son's name and the date of his birth and his death with headbands. They all ran with headbands during the race. They all won the race. His best friend got a scholarship to Chico State University. And so, was that part of the reason? We'll never know. But he got accepted him. And then another thing happened. My son donated his body to an organization called LifeShare. And we got a letter, it's here, from an 18-year-old boy that got my son's ligament in his arm. He had Tommy John surgery. And he thanked us for the donation. And at the end of the letter, he put his phone number down. And he said, please call me. So my wife got in her cell phone, gave him a call. It didn't get him on the phone, but left him a voicemail. Said, please call us back. Well, weeks and weeks and months passed by, and one day we were taking our foster youth mentee, my wife and I are foster youth mentors. We take kids from the county out, we take them camping, bike riding, and that kind of thing. My son was very active in that when he was alive, and one day we're taking our 18-year-old mentee, and we're driving on the 94 West Freeway. We live in a mall at the time. And we were driving on the 94 West Freeway. We were right in front of the house in the car, driving. My wife's cell phone rings. Who do you think's calling us for the very first time and talking on the phone? The 18-year-old, yep. We were all stunned that he was calling us in front of the house. So we decided to have dinner with him and his mom. We had dinner with them up at the Claim Dripper restaurant up at Carlsbad. We all sat down to eat. And one of the first questions the boy asked us was, what kind of car did Devin die in? We told him it was an Acura Integra and the model and everything. And he looks at us funny and he says, I drive that same car.
Oh, wow.
And then we find out his mom is a CASA, which CASAs are like foster youth mentors. They take kids from the county out and shop with them and everything like that. And we found also that his father was a child abuse judge. So all these things were just hooking up right and left with what was going on. And what we tell people is, we think God was involved in all that, just as like God's involved and he sees the conversation we're all having right now, and he wants you guys in heaven. He knows where you are in your walk, and he wants to do anything he can to strengthen you, to keep you on that walk. Because this world will try to pull you in other directions and get you into some other way of thinking rather than the proper way of thinking. And that's the biblical way of thinking. There's so many churches out there that try to tell you this way and twist it that way and twist it this way and try to get you away from the truth. That you got to stay on that road and do everything you can. Immerse yourself in the Bible each and every day. You guys read the Bible every day?
We are.
Yeah, so I just tell people that. I say maybe if you don't, maybe take 10 or 15 minutes a day out of your life and just read the Bible and work yourself through it. It's not a lot to give to your Creator, and just learn more about where you want to be for eternity. And then it will help you stay on that path when those temptations come your way and do the right thing. But anyway, just going to share that story with you. You guys got any questions for me or anything?
No, but so many people, if they have a tragedy like that, losing a child, they will either get mad at God for a long time, or they'll turn even closer to God. You know, it's almost like there's no middle ground.
You don't know how many times I've said those exact words.
Yes.
You look at some of my videos, you'll hear me say that.
Yeah, because, you think, well, God's in control of everything. He could have, why did he, and all those questions. And it just, like you say, it doesn't have to make sense to us now.
That's okay.
God has his plan, and
That's right.
it isn't our plan.
Yeah, we're all going to lose loved ones sooner or later. Maybe not in the car accident way, maybe another way. But it's still, when you lose someone, someone close,
Especially
it really wakes you
child,
up.
A young person that has so much potential, and your dreams for them. Your whole life you spend creating dreams for them, and then to have that cut off, it's part of you dies. It really does.
I just I hold firm to what I have after this. This is temporary. All this, and I look at people differently now. I look at what I tell people is this: maybe you have a loved one or a friend that doesn't know Christ, and let's just say that today they got in a car accident and they died, or some other tragic event. And you just put off telling them the truth about Christ for whatever reason, whether you felt shy about it or whatever. And picture that friend or that loved one in hell right now yelling up at you, "Why didn't you say anything to me? Why did you keep it to yourself? You said you loved me, but yet you kept that to yourself. Why?" Yeah. So it's kind of we try to those are kind of things I think about, and I try to share that with people and try to get them to just talk about it. It's we shouldn't be ashamed of our Creator.
And I think, looking back at my own life, I think some of the reasons why we start out gung-ho and telling everybody about it, and then we slow down in that process, is because it's so many rejections. We kind of get the feeling that nobody wants to hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just want to live their own life and be left alone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Get in the comfort zone.
that nobody wants to hear what you have to say, and it doesn't make any difference. It's how it feels.
Satan just loves that. Hey, it's truth control, right down to where
Yeah.
the road is narrow.
Yes.
And we just gotta get out there.
You sow the seeds. You just never know where they're going.
Yeah, God, we have many conversations like that where we'll talk, and you don't know where it's going to go. I probably never see the people. Who knows? I may never see you guys ever again. And where he goes with the conversation, only God knows that.
Yeah.
But
I tell Ron when he is making plans to do this and that, I keep saying, God willing.
That's right.
Because you can't make plans for you can try to make plans, but you have to know that you can go to God anytime.
That's right.
He almost did last July with his heart attack. It was bad. It was really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was almost gone, and he thought, he'd been thinking, you kind of project that you think that you'll live until your early 80s at least. You kind of kind of put it off into the future somehow, and figure you've got so many years left to accomplish whatever it is you want to do. But the reality is that we don't have anything but the moment we have right now, and we have to live that as though we're leaving the life right now.
That's right. That's right.
Because it'll happen, when we least expect it.
That's right. Well, I thank you for your time.
Bye.
And God bless you both.
Thank you.
All right. See ya.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, so on with your interviews and
Yeah.
get some more